Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Really, really glad you're here. Wanted to quickly take a moment to talk about two things for you listen today. The first is if you've enjoyed this show in the past, my interviews with innovators in the DeFi space, please, if you could, pause here, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen, and take 2 minutes to just review and rate this show. It really does a great deal to help get more reach for the show, get more listeners, more people hearing the message of what we're trying to do to spread DeFi. So your review can actually help us get innovative solutions to finance in front of more people. So please take a moment to do that. It would be greatly appreciated if you enjoy listening to the show. The second thing is this show had some connectivity issues, and so I apologize in advance if you experience some audio problems. I've done my best to clean it up as much as possible, but there are still a few glitches here and there. I hope you'll bear with me and accept my most sincere apologies. Thanks again for listening. Thank you for spreading the word, and have a great, great day wherever you are in the world.
We started to build a kind of decentralized version of Binance. So it's the most liquid trading venue of Web3. So that's the reason we built Chainge Finance. And currently, Chainge is able to providing more than 70 billion liquidity at the same time for the user.
Say that number again.
Over 70 billion US dollar value of liquidity.
Wow.
At the same time when users they are trying to swap.
Amazing.
So this is what we're doing for Chainge. So we want to make Chainge.finance to be a Web 3.0 version of Binance. The only difference is that users, they always have their assets in their own address.
Welcome to Mission DeFi with Brad Nickel, where we explore projects in decentralized finance that are innovating and driving our mission of financial freedom forward. Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, rate, and review Mission DeFi and spread the word by posting a tweet to the show. All opinions expressed by Brad Nickel or his guests are their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Black Knox, Material Indicators, or any other affiliated organizations. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Brad Nickel or his guests as an inducement to make a particular investment, follow a particular strategy, or become involved with any project. A project being featured on the show is not an endorsement of that project in any way. This podcast is for informational purposes only. Now, here's Mission DeFi with Brad Nickel.
So tell us about yourself and your background, how you got into crypto, and then we'll climb into the project and what its value is to the users and to the world.
No problem, Brad. Thank you for having me here. My name is DJ. Usually in Chinese, people, they call me Dejun. So you pronounce it perfectly. I started my career in this industry in 2013. So it's already been 9 years,
Wow,
about
early
9
days.
years. Right.
Nice.
And before that, I was in charge of the business of the West China for IBM. So I had my career in IBM for about 11 years. And after that, in 2013, I was noticed that there was something very interesting, which is called Bitcoin. And my background is computer science. That's the reason I read the white paper and I thought it's really interesting. And I happen to have some friends who is capable of taping out the mining chip for Bitcoin and Litecoin at that time. That's the reason I left IBM and started my own career in the industry. I'm probably the first person who built the mining farm in China. So at that time, I built my mining machine. I tape out my own Bitcoin and Litecoin chip, and started my first mining farm in China at that time. And steadily, there were a lot of big names like PwC, IBM. They started to have interest in this technology, which is called blockchain in 2015. And I got some investment from PricewaterhouseCoopers. And happily that we started a couple of different projects with the company I started, we started VChain, which is focusing on the supply chain management using the blockchain technology, and Qian, which is a kind of smart contract platform using the UTXO model. And after that, I started to feel that, the blockchain technology and this crypto entire industry is something, it could be utilized better in finance. That's the reason I started another project, which is called Fusion, a Fusion public blockchain. So you can see these public blockchain, they're still among the top projects around the world. And within the project of Fusion, we have developed a couple of different technologies, including cross-chain technology. And we were trying to build a kind of platform which is specifically for the decentralized finance, and we called it crypto finance at that time. And that's the reason I met Kranji, and he became the chief innovation officer for Fusion at that time, starting from 2018. And we started to do some research and released a couple of different projects focusing on the finance itself. At that time, I started to use the technology in Fusion, which is called DCRN. It was developed together with 4 world-class top cryptographers, and this using the MPC and the threshold signature scheme technology, trying to provide a kind of a cross-chain technology for all the chains. And steadily I feel that we need to build something which was not possible previously, but with the technology we have now from Fusion and from AnySwap and from from the technology team we have in Chainge, we started to build a kind of decentralized version of Binance. So it's the most liquid trading venue of Web3. So that's the reason we built Chainge Finance. And currently, Chainge is able to providing more than 70 billion liquidity at the same time for the user.
Say that number again.
Over 70 billion US dollar value of liquidity.
Wow.
At the same time, when users they are trying to swap.
Amazing.
So this is what we're doing for Chainge. So we want to make Chainge.finance to be a Web 3.0 version of Binance. The only difference is that users, they always have their assets in their own address. That's the only difference. And we want to provide a first-class user experience, and users, they can enjoy even better liquidity when they're trying to swap. So this is what we're doing in Chainge.finance.
That's amazing. So, kind of the tagline is a decentralized Binance with the liquidity to match, right? Where you users can have the same level of liquidity experience that they would get and to execute trades on Binance, they would get that on Chainge. And it is cross-chain. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, not the same, but much, much better. Just for example, if you want to swap 100 million or even 500 million USDT into USDC, you can get it finished just within 2 minutes. And all the assets, they are always on your address. And I think even if you are using centralized exchanges, top centralized exchanges like Binance, like Coinbase, not able to do, right? So this is what we're doing now.
And the other big benefit is that you've built this on top of the cross-chain functionality from Fusion, so that I can swap cross-chain within the DEX itself.
Yes, exactly. Even if you have your assets distributed on different chains, for example, you have USDT distributed on 5 different chains, and you want all of them swap into, for example, USDC, ETH, you can go ahead to swap directly, and all the cross-chain transactions will happen in the background. You don't need to worry about.
Wow.
And this is happening on Fusion. Is this happening on the chain? Is the DEX itself built on top of Fusion?
We are aggregating the liquidity from all the DEX on all the chains, including Uniswap, including PancakeSwap, including other stuff. For example, TraderDuel or Pangolin or any other DEXs, any chains.
So you're essentially going out when if I executed $100 million trade, if only I had $100 million trade, you're actually out executing across multiple DEXs as an aggregator to pull in and complete that trade. And that could be from multiple trades happening at the same time across all these across all these other DEXs out there.
Yes, exactly. So if you don't mind, I can just open, maybe share my screen and let you know how it works. Great. I'm going to use this live demo to give you an example how it really works. So currently you can see I have 19,000 USDT, right?
Right.
But from what you can see now, they are distributed on 4 different chains, right? So 11,000 on Fusion chain, 3,000 on Qian, and 3,500 on Binance Smart Chain, and 1,500 on Algorand. So we are supporting not only the EVM compatible chains, but also non-EVM compatible chains for the cross-chain roaming of the assets. And I have around 19,000 USDT totally in this wallet, in this non-custodial wallet. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is to swap all of those USDT into USDC. Let me show you how it works. What I need to do is to click the exchange button here and select the target. The target token I want to be USDC. Then I click max. This is the total amount of USDT I have in this non-custodial wallet. And what I have to do is to input that. You can see I'm going to get 19,368 USDC. And of course, you can turn on some options button like use Chainge to pay the cross-chain gas, or you can ask this application to optimize the gas. For example, if you are going to swap your USDT into ETH, of course, the most liquid place, the most liquid DEX is Uniswap v3. But sometimes if you only want to swap a very little amount, it doesn't make sense. You do the transaction on Ethereum network, right? Because the gas fee is much bigger. So sometimes I prefer to swap it on another chain with very small gas fee, but sometimes it has large slippage, but it doesn't matter. These applications will help you to find the best route. And what I need to do now is go ahead to click Exchange Now button and input the passcode, sign the transactions on chain. Then everything done. You still remember I have my USDT distributed on 4 different chains, correct? But I can still go ahead to swap directly. And now you can see there are multiple hashes, which is going on multiple steps. And the multiple hashes is coming all along with this order. This is the order details you can see. And on the right side, you can see on which chain the hash is supposed to be on. Okay, so the first hash is happening on Algorand because I have 1,500 USDT on Algorand. And some other hashes on Binance Smart Chain, on Qian, and after that, you can see the liquidity aggregate swap 1, 2, 3. Even if I didn't have USDT on Polygon, on Avalanche, or on Binance Smart Chain, but the smart router they found the best route is to transact on these 3 chains and divide your transaction into fraction with maybe different portions and transact on different chains simultaneously, I mean.
Wow.
Okay, so this is Avalanche, Binance Smart Chain, and Avalanche, yes.
Right.
Okay, so when time passes, you can see more hashes pops up, right? And when I refreshes it, you can see more hashes pops up. Right, so step by step.
Right.
And after that, you can see these 3 swaps, they are happening at the same time. The first is crossing hash because we have the application has to deploy this portion of USDT onto that chain to be transacted into USDC. And the same to Avalanche and the Binance Smart Chain. And the second hash, you can see these 3 swaps, they are happening at the same time. And you can see the transaction hashes, you can copy it and trying to check it on the Explorer on different chains. And after that, you can see the transactions are completed. And when I check it, USDT disappears. And I can look it up in my assets of USDC. Now you can see 19,370 USDC. We are pulling all of the liquidity from all of the chains to serve your transaction at the same time. So this is how, because today, according to our calculation and assessment, we have found more than 150 billion liquidity on all chains in all of those DEXs, but no one has utilized all of that.
Right.
Even we're looking at the aggregators like OneInch or other aggregators, they only can help you to aggregate liquidity on one chain. But only us, only Change.finance can help you to aggregate the liquidity from all the DEX on all the chains, including the non-EVM out of chains. And you can see the entire video is only around 4 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. So which means the entire transaction could be finished just within 2 to 3 minutes.
Right.
Even if you originally have USDT on 4 or even more distributed on more different chains, it doesn't matter. You can just go ahead to swap, and everything happening in the background and in a decentralized way. That's how it works.
That's fantastic. I noticed that all of the tokens, transaction, and I have a big list of questions, and I'll let you get back to kind of talking about it more. But how have you guys set up wrapped versions of all the major tokens, or do the trades always settle on the Fusion chain? Just curious about that. I don't see a negative to it, but I'm just curious about it.
No, they actually, the real transactions, they are happening on all of those different chains. You can see.
Right. No, I mean when the deposits come back, I understood that they were all transmitting on all those chains.
Okay.
When I get the other side of the trade back, the USDC in this case, it then is stored, I should say, in the Fusion wallet on the app. Is that correct?
No. Yeah, users are receiving the USDC on Fusion network, but they can always send their assets to any chains they want.
Move it and within the wallet.
Yes, within the wallet. I can just share with you another video which demonstrate how it works like. I will use this. Hold on for a second.
Sure. I can see it.
Yeah, okay. So now I have 19,370 USDC, right? So now I'm going to send some USDC to another chain. This is very simple, because what I need to do is to click the send button, paste the address here because we support a lot of features when you are trying to send assets. You can send to contacts, you can send through a Twitter account, you can send through a cell phone number. But of course, we support users to send to a kind of blockchain address. What you need to do is to paste your address here and select the chain you want it to go to. For example, in this case, I wanted to go to Binance Smart Chain. And then pay now.
Beautiful.
And after that, what I need to do is to input the passcode to sign the transactions. I'm sorry.
That's
okay. Now the order is placed, and you can see there are two hashes. One hash is on Fusion, another hash is on Binance Smart Chain. Okay, when the second hash pops up, and a little bit later, the transaction is finished.
beautiful.
Okay, now 2000 is on Binance Smart Chain. But of course, you can send to
That's
another,
beautiful.
any other address, just in order to show you these assets is really on Binance Smart Chain. Then you can, that's the reason I only send to my own address and select the Binance Smart Chain. So this is perfectly, this is purely simple, and we integrate all of those cross-chain transactions just behind the sending transaction and the swapping transactions.
I am from the perspective of a guy that owns a company that, we have trading tools that are focused on centralized exchanges right now. And first of all, you're solving one of the big issues that we want to do to move our tools into DeFi, right? Because you're now adding us that liquidity across so many chains. Is this something where there will be potentially an API available to set up automations with what you're doing?
Yeah. You mentioned the point. I just wanted to share with it. We are going to release the API and SDK for other projects to integrate just within maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And we already have a couple of different projects. They are waiting for this. So after that, any user, they can maybe use other protocols, including existing aggregator or existing cross-chain bridges. They are using our service in the backend.
Nice.
And because the speed of the cross-chain in our facility, in our infrastructure, in our infrastructure is really fast. And even if you have your USDT distributed on 5 or 6 different chains, and you want to move to another chain, the 7th chain, it only takes you maybe 2 minutes to finish that. So this is one of the cornerstone we have achieved before we can implement this cross-chain liquidity aggregation. Because there are a lot of different projects. They claim to be the cross-chain DAX, they claim to be the aggregator, multi-chain aggregator, but in this market, so far as I know, we are the only one which can allow user to enjoy the liquidity on different chains simultaneously.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I can see, first of all, I'm running through my own personal selfish use cases for myself for trading, and then for our company and my projects. But now I'm starting to run through a list of all the projects that I have relationships with in DeFi, and thinking about what power this gives them in terms of just facilitating the cross-chain transactions. In terms of your cross-chain functionality, look, in the world of DeFi, there's a lot of negativity towards kind of the standard bridges. There are people that are doing cross-chain implementations of some sort or another, cross-chain swaps with some foundational technologies from companies like Router, et cetera. But those are always incredibly clunky, and they are scary for end users, right? You feel like you're sending it off into the world, and you're waiting 7 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour to see if you're actually going to get your money on the other side, or if somebody has exploited the protocol in the meantime.
Just like that's into the black hole, right?
are you guys able to execute this cross-chain functionality so rapidly? And how, I don't want to go too far into the technical, but I would like to have an understanding of it. How is this functioning? How is Fusion able to provide you this capability? And how is it from a cross-chain perspective?
So we built this technology on the encryption layer. It's not on any smart contract layer, the logic layer. No, we built it on the encryption layer. So we only use the signature to prove the transactions. And then on the other side, when you want to move the assets from chain A to chain B, so we are having multiple nodes running. Each of them, they are having a private key sharding, and they are using the MPT technology plus threshold signature scheme, trying to manage the assets together. So none of them, they can operate the assets on the address independently, separately. They only can work together to move the assets. That's the reason we are able to be compatible with any different chains, as long as their signature algorithm is ECDSA or ED25519, then we can support them. We don't need the target chains to have to do something or to develop something. No. So the compatibility is the first killer feature. We support all of those chains whose signing signature is ECDSA or E25519. And the second factor is that we are also building a kind of wallet, which means we have a kind of signature signing method, which means do you still remember that case that I had the USDT distributed on 4 different chains, right? So at that time, we were able to sign the transactions on different chains simultaneously. So that's the reason we don't have to sign a transaction after the first transaction is finished. So that's the reason we can have the terminal, the application, to sign the transactions for all the chains together, and broadcast. This application will help you to broadcast to different networks, to different public blockchain by steps. But sometimes some of the hashes could be processed simultaneously in parallel, and then we will do it in parallel. So that's the reason we shorten the time for the users to connect with different DEX, moving assets from one chain to another, or users, they always have to find the best liquid DEX they want to swap, right? So they don't have to do so. And even today, including the wallet like MetaMask or other wallets, they can only help you to sign the transactions on one chain one at a time. And we can do multiple transactions on different chains simultaneously. So it's all asset centric. But from the user experience, users intuitively, they want to focus on the assets itself. They don't need to worry about chains. They don't even need to know the concept of chains at all, right? So that's the methodology we built behind this application.
Yeah, the UI is brilliant to focus it on the token first rather than the chain first, right? All of the orientations of our existing interfaces are chain oriented and require a whole new refresh on the interface. You guys, because of your capability, have oriented the UI specifically to the token or the action that I want to take, and make it so I don't have to care about where it is or what it's doing or how it functions. In terms of this signing process, is all of this process happening on the mobile app that you're deploying? Or is this something where I'm giving permission from within the wallet to the chain to do these transactions? I know that from a swapping perspective, but in terms of the cross-chain capability.
Everything is happening in the application itself.
Nice. Very nice. Is this going to be mobile only or just mobile first?
We as a project team, we will focus on our mobile application, but we will provide APIs to other service providers like Crouch and Bridges, and they can just use the API to tell us they wanted assets of token A on which chain to go to another chain, just to tell us through the API. and everything will be happen in the background. So we will rely on our partners to provide the cross-chain roaming and the cross-liquidity aggregation service on the web based through their interface. But we will focus on the mobile.
Great. And so from the perspective of utilizing AI, and I don't go too deep in the weeds on this, but there are a lot of founders that listen to this show, so I think that they would be interested. From the perspective of utilizing the API, would I have to build out some of the kind of core wallet functionality that you have in the mobile app in order to be able to utilize this? And is that like sample code you would provide to people, or how would that work?
I beg your pardon?
So yeah, so when let's say I want to build, let's say I have an existing protocol, right? A lending protocol or something like that. And I want to be able to build this functionality in so my users can come in, and doesn't matter where their tokens exist, I can provide them an interface to everything they have. I'm assuming they would have to establish some kind of fusion-oriented wallet. How would the developers on that protocol make the wallet functionality happen is that part of the API sample code for the wallet functionality that they would have to present to the end?
We have two versions. One is API. So for the web-based service like cross-chain bridge or some multi-chain aggregator, the swap aggregator, what they need to do is call our API and telling us they want their assets on token A on chain 1. They want it moved to token B on chain 2. And they need to sign the transaction. They need to allow users to sign the transactions of token A on chain 1 and give us the transaction hash. And then they will receive the token B on chain 2 later, maybe just within 2 minutes or 3 minutes.
Okay. And they are connecting to, underlying in the API, they're connecting to the Fusion blockchain, I assume, because that's kind of the core of how this whole thing functions.
No. We would not ask our partners to stick to the Fusion blockchain. They can have their assets. For example, if they have USDT on Polygon, and they want to move to the USDT on for example, Binance Smart Chain. Then they just need to tell us, and the USDT on Binance Smart Chain will go directly to where they want.
Very cool. If a user has, and this is totally selfish, if a user has the app and someone like my company that can provide, so we have a mean reversion indicator, right, that buys on the dips at different deviation settings. Will there be a way for us as developers to allow users to connect to that signal within the app? We need to, as developers, to provide an interface to the API to enable this kind of trading.
Yeah, our partner needs to develop their UI, and I think they will have their service connected with other wallet like MetaMask or other wallets. And what they need to do is to ask their users to sign a transaction using the MetaMask and send back the transaction hash through the API. Or if some other partners, they are building a kind of application, the mobile application, we will provide a kind of SDK for them, and they can put it inside of their application, then this SDK will help them to do everything. They still have to develop their own front end.
Okay. Yeah, so there's no plans to expose functionality for the users to receive signals into the Chainge app itself.
We don't have this plan yet, but I think if we are providing the API or SDK, that will be more flexible for our partners to develop different features.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of, I'm assuming the way Chainge makes money for your project is fees for the trades. Is that how it functions?
Yes, exactly. We charge in the same way as Chainge. So if we show the expected number of token B to users when they are putting the number of token A in the trading page, right? And if we get more, we only give user the amount of the expected amount, and the extra amount is our profit. And if we get less because maybe there are some other transactions before this user's transaction is packed, then we only send the users what is got from the different decks. So it's we charge the same way as 1inch.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, I figured that was the case. I just wanted to make sure. And then I'm assuming people that develop apps on the protocol are paying similar fees for transacting, and if they want to build fees on to their users in some way, they could if they wanted to.
Yeah. And if you are interested, you can try to input different amount of token A, try different trading pairs, and compare the number of the token B you can get from 1inch, from other cross-chain aggregator, from Chainge. You can see Chainge always can provide the best price. I mean the
Nice.
biggest number of token B. So this is the advantage we can provide to the user they are going to swap.
Nice.
And
Very nice.
Yeah, if they want to swap even bigger amount, like for example 5 million or 10 million or even bigger, then you can see the number of the tokens you can get is much more than the smaller amount. Because sometimes, if you want to only swap a very small amount, it has to be happen on one chain. It doesn't make sense. It's distributed
To split it
and
up,
make
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. In terms of, is there going to be functionality eventually for limit orders where I can set the price that I want these to execute at and not have to worry about it later, and not worry about?
Yeah.
I understand kind of from the slippage perspective, but also from hitting a price when I want it.
Yeah. This is not that difficult to implement at this moment. We're not supporting this feature, but we are thinking about that to support the limit orders for users to place the order maybe in advance, and when the price hit the order price, then it will be processed automatically. Yeah, we're thinking about that feature, but at this moment we're not supporting that.
Okay, I'm curious about kind of the origin of building. Well, not the origin, the reasoning of building the application. My first thinking is when I see Chainge and what you're building is like, okay, awesome project and awesome business to build. Was part of the motivation for building Chainge was like, hey, it's hard to break through in this market as a blockchain, even though you guys are established, you've been around for years. It's hard to get mind share.
Yeah, I think what you just said is one of the original reason I started this project. But I'm not sure if you have watched one of the interview which was delivered by CZ, the CEO of Binance. He also mentioned that the future of the exchange is decentralized, and
Yep.
I also believe that. And I believe users they need to have their assets in their own address for all the time. And that's the reason, we happen to have a lot of established technologies in Fusion. And I didn't mention other features like time framing to earn feature, earning in a decentralized way. You're not putting your assets in a smarter contract, getting a kind of receipt, and you risk assets to be stolen when something bad happened to this contract. And we have another very special technology, which is called time framing technology. You always have your assets ownership in your own address, but at the same time, you're earning. So this is another technology. And from the very beginning, there are a lot of different public blockchains in this market, and it's very hard to get market share. I think we have built a lot of very good technologies on Fusion, but not too many people, they really understand that. That's the reason I want to build a kind of application which can demonstrate and show to other users how amazing these technologies are. And I think, when we are building the Change.finance application, steadily we are approaching our original objective, that we are trying to build a kind of infrastructure to support the finance to be decentralized for all the transactions, including trading. today we still can see 80% of the transactions that are happening in a centralized exchange, even more in the past 9 years. But I think in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, I believe the portion of the transactions happening in the decentralized world will grow rapidly. So that's how I foresee this market, how it is shifting.
That's awesome. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it makes total sense to take that approach, right? You want, the beauty of this strategy is you get both sides of the marketplace, right? You get the end user who is using it for the trading and getting exposure to the idea of fusion. And you have to, wow, okay, this solves a large number of problems for me that I have with interacting with the end user. And Fusion's, I mean, Chainge has also built up a base of users that could potentially be exposed to my functionality, right? So if a partner integrates with Chainge, maybe down the line as you proceed, you start building in functionality into the app itself that exposes partners into the wallet users that are using Chainge, right? So I think what happens in this case is you're getting both sides of the equation, because developers are now saying, wait a minute, I can do this with Chainge. Let me understand better what Fusion offers because of this. Oh, okay, maybe I should be seeing if I can put my dApp on the Fusion blockchain as well. What's the porting process like? Is this an EVM compatible Fusion itself? Like could I deploy an existing EVM compatible dApp on Fusion?
Fusion blockchain, I can tell you, this is the very first EVM compatible chains in this world. So the mainnet of Fusion started in early 2019. And even at that time, we started to have our users to manage their assets through the MetaMask. And ironically, at that time, very few people understand why MetaMask is designed for Ethereum. Why I can use MetaMask to manage assets on Fusion. At that time, people, they were confused. But steadily,
sure.
From 2000 to 2020, more and more EVM compatible chains, they popped up. Then people understand, okay, I can switch the gateway and connecting to different chains, then I can always use MetaMask. So it was really ironic.
That's amazing. I love it. And of course, that makes the onboarding path for developers very strong as well. Did you guys take venture money for Chainge or for Fusion? Were you funded, or have you kind of been bootstrapping this whole thing?
Yeah, I used my own money, self-funded for this project so far. But yes, we are opening for the venture capitals starting from only 2 months ago. when I was in United States at the time, and I decided to start raise some fund and collaborate with some mainstream venture capitals and bring these projects to the mainstream. Yeah, but so far, only self-fund.
Okay. Well, we should probably get you connected with the CZ and Binance Labs, because as ironic as it is, he invests in competitors to Binance all the time. So I think it'd be very interesting. Okay. I'm really blown away by what you've created, but I don't want to get away from what you were talking about. You mentioned the time framing technology. Do you have time to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. The time framing technology, today, the assets, no matter it is a token, maybe a ERC20 token or any other EIP or other format of token, the value only could be divided into amount. For example, if you have 100 Ethereum, you divide it into 20 and 80, right? But together you have 100. But the time framing technology is a kind of very special technology. We put a kind of tag into the assets itself. So all the assets, it has starting time, and ending time. If an asset starting time is before present time and the end time is forever, then it's a spot. If the starting time is a kind of time in the future and ending time is forever, then it is futures. then it will very easily interpret it in the blockchain, and you can divide a kind of assets with the time framing technology. For example, if I have a spot of 100 USDT, right? I can divide it into two parts. One part is 100 USDT from present time to the end of this year, and another 100 USDT from the end of this year to forever. Then this is the two part. And if they come together, they will be connected automatically, and it becomes spot. And you can send any piece to any other address at the same time. When the end time, for example, when the asset of 100 USDT from present time to the end of this year, and the time passes, for example, today is 2023, January the 2nd, then these part of assets just disappears. And the second part becomes the spot automatically without any settlement, without any clearance. It becomes the spot automatically. So in this case, we can divide the ownership and the usage of the assets into two parts.
That's fascinating.
That's the reason we can allow user to hold their ownership of the assets always in their own address, and just giving up or send their usage to other users. And when the time is in place, then it disappears.
That's amazing. That's truly amazing. I'm going to be taking a much deeper dive. That's incredible. Wow. Okay, let me see. I was typing out questions. I want to make sure I've covered. Oh, when can I use it?
You can download. You mean the Chainge app, right?
Yeah.
You can download it anytime from Apple Store, from Google Play Store. You have the current version. Our application went live last year, but we steadily add more and more features on top of it. Currently, our feature already support the cross liquidity aggregation, decentralized escrow, the time framing to earn features, and we even support the decentralized options market. There are a lot of features, yeah. But we are focusing on the trading features, but we already integrated a lot of different features inside of this application. You can download and start it right away.
Oh, so it's in the App Store today. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's in the application. It's in the App Store today. You can search CHAINGE, Chainge.finance, Chainge Finance.
I didn't see it on the homepage.
Yeah, our website is about to release the new version. So that's the reason we put it down a little bit. But yes, you can search it in the Apple Store and the Google Play Store, and download it right away. And our new version of our website will be live maybe 1 month or two.
Cool. Did you say are you going to have a web interface to Chainge, or will you strictly be focused on the mobile app for now?
Yeah, we were strictly focusing on our mobile version at this moment, and we will rely on our partners to provide a web-based service for cross-chain roaming and the cross-chain liquidity aggregation, these two features. And of course, we are also providing the smart router service. There are some arbitrage institutions.
Yeah, that's where I was going next.
Yeah, they want to they want to get this they want to get the smart router for swapping. When they are trying to swapping token A into token B, they want to know where is the best place to trade and what's the amount. And this is what they want. That's the reason we also will provide an API for the arbitrage for those institutions who is interested in the arbitrage. And so we totally will provide 3 different APIs. One is cross-chain roaming. For example, if you someone he wants to have a token to move from chain 1 to chain 2, then we will provide a kind of API for them to use. And the second API will allow our partners to build a web-based service to swap token A on chain 1 into token B on chain 2.
Right.
Then this is the second API. The third is that if a user or a partner, they want to swap a number of token A on chain A into a number of token B, we will give them a series of routes. Where is the best place to trade, and what's the best amount to trade there?
And so then they can optimize the trade across chains just like you guys do in the app, but they can do it for whatever their particular reason might be. That makes sense. Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
So theoretically, someone could build out an application similar functionally to what you have in the app itself, but for a
Yes.
specific vertical use case. That's great. What's coming next? Anything else you want to talk about that I haven't covered for you yet?
Yeah, I mentioned some of the features inside of Chainge, and I would also like to give you some updates about future plans. We are also going to integrate a kind of decentralized perpetual contracts trading function inside of our Chainge very shortly, maybe just within 1 month. And we are also going to have the fiat on-ramp and off-ramp feature integrated in Chainge. And we are also going to support the hardware code wallet connecting to our application easily, which is a kind of, it's not ledger, but a kind of NFC card. When users, they want to sign a transaction, what they need to do is to tap their card just behind the phone, and the transaction will be signed. But we still put a lot of attention on the security to protect our users, to protect the assets for our users. That's the reason we want to integrate a kind of hardware code wallet together with our Chainge to protect them. But we won't compromise the user experience in the user experience.
And you're releasing the hardware wallet yourself?
No. We will work with another big hardware code wallet manufacturer together. They build it. They already have their own products in this market, and we are integrating
Nice.
their products together with our application.
That's brilliant. And if it's that simple, that's going to provide a huge amount of reassurances for people. And it sounds like it's going to make it much easier for people to make use of hardware wallets, which right now is not an easy process for the average user to set up. And of course, that then will lock people even further into being Chainge users. You guys have a lot going on. How many people do you have at the Chainge and Fusion?
Yeah, we have 19 people at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah, all over the world, in Romania, in United States, and China as well.
Awesome. Anything else we should know before we end the interview?
That's all. I think you
awesome,
covered all,
man.
all
That's
the
a lot.
Yeah,
that is a lot. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited about your project. I'm pretty amazed at what you guys are doing, and I'm going to be diving much deeper into using it and then also into Fusion, because I think there's a lot of opportunities there.